Imagine leaving your childhood club for free, being criticized every single season, losing the trust of fans, fighting for your place, then finally becoming one of the biggest reasons your club reaches the top of European football, only to find yourself pushed toward the exit. That's exactly the story many football fans believe Gianluigi Donnarumma is living right now. After years of pressure, criticism, and unforgettable performances, questions are growing louder every day. Has Paris Saint-Germain already decided to move on? Or is there much more happening behind the scenes? Today we're diving deep into one of football's biggest controversies. Did PSG betray Gianluigi Donnarumma? Or is this simply the brutal reality of modern football? Watch until the end because the truth isn't as simple as social media makes it seem. Welcome back to the channel. If you love football stories, transfer news, tactical analysis, and everything happening behind the scenes, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Now, let's start from the beginning. Long before PSG, long before Champions League nights in Paris, there was a teenager in Milan who looked destined to become football's next legendary goalkeeper. Gianluigi Donnarumma made his AC Milan debut when he was only 16 years old. Think about that for a second. Most 16-year-olds are still playing youth football. Donnarumma was already starting in Serie A. Immediately, people compared him to one of Italy's greatest ever goalkeepers, Gianluigi Buffon. His size, his reflexes, his composure, everything suggested Italy had found its next superstar. For years, Milan fans believed he would become the face of the club for the next decade. But football doesn't always follow fairy tales. In 2021, everything changed. Donnarumma's contract with AC Milan expired. Instead of signing a new deal, he walked away. For free. Immediately, emotions exploded across Italy. Many Milan supporters felt betrayed. Some blamed his agent. Others blamed the club. But one thing was certain. His relationship with Milan fans would never be the same again. Then came PSG. Fresh off signing Lionel Messi. Already home to Neymar. Already building around Kylian Mbappe. Paris offered Donnarumma something almost impossible to refuse. A huge salary. A squad full of superstars. And one clear objective. Win the Champions League. It looked like the perfect move. At least, on paper. There was one major issue. PSG already had an elite goalkeeper. Keylor Navas. Not just any goalkeeper. A three-time Champions League winner with Real Madrid. One of the most respected players in world football. Instead of choosing one goalkeeper, PSG tried something unusual. They rotated both. 1 week Navas. Next week Donnarumma. Then back again. For goalkeepers, this rarely works. Unlike outfield players, goalkeepers rely heavily on rhythm, confidence, communication with defenders, consistency. Switching every few matches creates uncertainty. Many football experts question the decision immediately. Instead of building confidence, PSG had accidentally created competition inside one of the most important positions on the pitch. Neither goalkeeper truly felt like number one. As months passed, every mistake Donnarumma made became headline news. One poor pass, one bad decision, one misplaced punch, and suddenly people questioned whether PSG had made the wrong signing. The criticism became even louder after the famous Champions League collapse against Real Madrid. Although several players struggled that night, many fans pointed to Donnarumma's mistake under pressure. From that moment, confidence disappeared. The media questioned him constantly. Social media exploded after every game. Every goalkeeper makes mistakes. But when you're playing for PSG, every mistake becomes global news. Meanwhile, people conveniently ignored the incredible saves, the matches he kept PSG alive, the consistency he slowly began to develop. Instead, the narrative had already formed. Donnarumma isn't good enough. Football can be brutally unfair. Here's something many people forget. Just months before joining PSG, Donnarumma had been named player of the tournament at UEFA Euro 2020. Not the best goalkeeper, the best player. He helped Italy win the European Championship. He saved penalties. He dominated knockout matches. He carried incredible pressure despite being only 22 years old. Very few goalkeepers ever win such an award. Yet somehow, within months, many fans had completely forgotten. That's football. You're only remembered for your latest mistake. Despite all the criticism, something quietly started changing. Season after season, Donnarumma improved. His shot stopping remained among the best in Europe. He became more confident claiming crosses. His distribution improved. His communication with defenders became stronger. Most importantly, he started producing huge performances in Europe's biggest matches. The same goalkeeper many people wanted PSG to sell was becoming one of their most reliable players. But football changes quickly. Just when it looked like everything was finally working, a new controversy began. And this one had nothing to do with his performances. It was about his future. Rumors started appearing across Europe. Contract talks. New goalkeepers being linked with PSG. Questions about whether the club truly believed in him. For many supporters, it felt strangely familiar. Had PSG already begun planning life without Donnarumma? Or was the media creating another unnecessary storm? That's where the real controversy begins. Now, this is where the story takes a dramatic turn. For a while, it looked like Donnarumma had finally silenced his critics. His performances were improving, he looked more confident, and many supporters believed PSG had found their long-term number one goalkeeper. But then the headlines started appearing. Reports claimed that contract negotiations between Donnarumma and PSG had slowed down. Instead of announcing a new long-term deal, there was silence. In modern football, silence usually means one thing. Something isn't going according to plan. Fans immediately began asking questions. If PSG truly believed Donnarumma was their future, why wasn't his contract already sorted out? Why were negotiations dragging on? And why were transfer rumors suddenly everywhere? The biggest surprise wasn't just the contract situation. It was the growing number of rumors linking PSG with other elite goalkeepers. Almost every week, another name appeared. Young talents. Established internationals. Some reports suggested PSG wanted a goalkeeper who was even better with the ball at his feet. Others claimed the club was planning for the future. Whether those reports were accurate or simply transfer speculation, one thing became clear. Supporters started wondering if PSG were already preparing for life after Donnarumma. Imagine being the club's first-choice goalkeeper. You've worked through years of criticism. You've earned your place. Then every few days, you read another headline linking your club with someone who could replace you. Even if those rumors aren't true, they create pressure. And in football, confidence matters, especially for goalkeepers. Another major piece of this puzzle is the manager. Luis Enrique has very specific ideas about football. His teams like to dominate possession. They build attacks from the back. The goalkeeper isn't just there to stop shots. He's expected to act almost like an extra defender. That means passing under pressure, finding teammates in tight spaces, starting attacks with confidence. Donnarumma has improved in this area over the years. But if there's one aspect of his game that critics still question, it's his distribution. Compared with some modern goalkeepers, his passing isn't always as comfortable or as adventurous. Does that mean he's a poor goalkeeper? Not at all. In fact, many people would argue he's one of the best pure shot stoppers in world football. But modern football often demands more than incredible saves. Managers increasingly want goalkeepers who fit their tactical system perfectly. That's where the debate begins. Is PSG looking for a better goalkeeper? Or simply one whose style matches Luis Enrique's philosophy more closely? Let's be fair. There are genuine arguments from people who believe PSG should move on. Some point to Donnarumma's occasional mistakes under pressure. Others believe his footwork still isn't at the same level as goalkeepers like Ederson or Alisson. There have also been moments where decision-making on crosses or playing out from the back has been questioned. In football, especially at clubs chasing the Champions League, the margin for error is tiny. One mistake can change an entire season. Supporters expecting perfection naturally focus on those moments. From that perspective, some believe PSG are simply trying to build the most complete team possible. Not because Donnarumma is bad, but because they believe there may be an even better tactical fit. It's a football decision, not a personal one. Now let's look at the other side. Many PSG supporters completely disagree with that argument. Their response is simple. Who actually saved PSG in the biggest moments? When the defense struggled, who kept them in games? When world-class strikers were through on goal, who made the crucial saves? Time and time again, Donnarumma delivered. Some fans argue that without his performances, PSG wouldn't have reached some of their biggest European matches. Goalkeepers rarely receive the same praise as goalscorers. People remember the striker who scores the winner. They often forget the goalkeeper who made 6 impossible saves before that goal happened. Supporters also point out something important. Every elite goalkeeper makes mistakes. Even legends like Buffon, Casillas, Neuer, and Courtois have had unforgettable errors. But those mistakes didn't define their careers. Why should Donnarumma be judged differently? This controversy also reveals something bigger. Football has changed. Years ago, clubs built teams around players for a decade. Today, even world-class players can become uncertain about their future almost overnight. One new manager arrives. One tactical change happens. One transfer opportunity appears. Suddenly, everything changes. Loyalty is no longer guaranteed. Football has become a business as much as a sport. Clubs constantly look for upgrades. Managers want players who perfectly fit their philosophy. Sometimes it's not about how good you are. It's about whether you're the right fit. That reality can feel harsh, especially for players who have given everything on the pitch. This is perhaps the biggest question of all. Did PSG actually stop believing in Donnarumma? Or are people reading too much into normal contract negotiations and transfer rumors? At elite clubs, planning ahead is completely normal. Recruitment departments monitor dozens of players in every position. Scouts watch goalkeepers all over Europe. That doesn't automatically mean the current goalkeeper is being replaced. At the same time, if a contract isn't progressing and replacement rumors continue to grow, supporters naturally begin connecting the dots. That's why this story has become so controversial. There isn't one single answer. There are pieces of evidence pointing in different directions. And that's exactly why fans remain divided. So, let's imagine for a moment that Donnarumma's time in Paris really is coming to an end. The obvious question is, who would be waiting? The answer is, almost everyone. World-class goalkeepers don't become available very often. And when one does, Europe's biggest clubs immediately start paying attention. Think about it. He's still in his 20s. He's already played hundreds of professional matches. He's won Serie A. He's won League One titles. He helped Italy win the European Championship. He's played in countless Champions League games. And despite all the criticism, many analysts still rank him among the best shot stoppers in world football. Players with that resume don't stay on the market for long. If PSG ever decided to sell him, there would almost certainly be a long list of interested clubs. Some teams might need an immediate upgrade. Others could see him as the goalkeeper for the next decade. That's how valuable he still is. Now here's a question that doesn't get asked often enough. Has Donnarumma actually been judged fairly? Take a step back. When he was 16 years old, people called him the next Buffon. By the age of 22, he had already become one of Italy's biggest football stars. That's an incredible amount of pressure for anyone. Now at social media, every mistake is clipped, shared millions of times, discussed for days. Memes spread faster than highlights. Sometimes one error receives more attention than 10 incredible saves. That's the reality modern footballers live with, especially goalkeepers. If a striker misses 5 chances but scores the winner, he's the hero. If a goalkeeper makes 10 brilliant saves but one costly mistake, many fans remember only the mistake. It's one of the hardest positions in sport, and Donnarumma has experienced that pressure for almost his entire career. Now let's return to the question that brought you to this video. Did PSG betray Gianluigi Donnarumma? The answer depends entirely on how you define betrayal. If you believe loyalty should be rewarded, then you can understand why many supporters feel uncomfortable. After everything Donnarumma has done, after surviving years of criticism, after delivering huge performances, seeing contract uncertainty and constant replacement rumors naturally feels unfair. But football clubs don't usually make emotional decisions. They make business decisions. Every season they ask the same question. Can we improve? Can we build a better team? Can we become stronger? If the answer is yes, then difficult decisions follow. Sometimes legends leave. Sometimes fan favorites move on. Sometimes world-class players become victims of tactical changes rather than poor performances. That's modern football. It's ruthless. Another important factor is PSG themselves. Think about how much the club has changed over the past few years. There was the era of signing global superstars. Lionel Messi, Neymar, Sergio Ramos. Huge names, huge expectations. But despite all that talent, the Champions League remained frustratingly out of reach for years. Eventually, PSG started changing direction. Instead of collecting famous names, the club focused more on younger players. More balance, more teamwork. More tactical discipline. Managers changed. Sporting directors changed. The philosophy changed. Whenever that happens, some players naturally fit the new vision better than others. That doesn't automatically mean those left behind weren't good enough. Sometimes they simply don't match the next chapter. So what does the future hold? There are really only three realistic possibilities. The first, Donnarumma signs a new contract. He stays in Paris. He continues proving his critics wrong. And this entire controversy becomes nothing more than another chapter in his career. The second, PSG decide to move in another direction. A transfer happens. Both sides move on. And everyone starts a new chapter. The third possibility, negotiations continue. Rumors continue. Speculation grows. And the uncertainty lasts for months. As football fans, we've seen this story before. Sometimes contract sagas end quietly. Other times they become one of the biggest stories of the transfer window. Only time will tell which path this one takes. Regardless of what happens, there's a lesson here. Football moves incredibly fast. One season you're untouchable. The next season people question whether you should even start. One incredible save can make you a hero. One mistake can make headlines around the world. Very few players experience that roller coaster more than goalkeepers. And Donnarumma has been living it for years. Whether you're a PSG fan, an AC Milan supporter, or simply someone who loves football, it's impossible to deny one thing. Gianluigi Donnarumma has shown remarkable resilience. Many players would have crumbled under that level of criticism. He kept playing. He kept improving. He kept fighting for his place. That deserves respect. So, did PSG betray Gianluigi Donnarumma? Personally, I think the answer isn't black and white. PSG have every right to plan for the future. Elite clubs constantly evaluate every position. That's normal. But at the same time, you can't ignore everything Donnarumma has contributed. He's delivered in huge moments. He's overcome enormous pressure. And he's repeatedly shown why he remains one of Europe's top goalkeepers. If PSG eventually decide to let him go, they may discover something many clubs learned too late. Replacing a great goalkeeper is much harder than people think. Sometimes you don't realize what you've lost until it's gone. But now it's your turn. Do you think PSG have treated Donnarumma fairly? Should they keep him as their number one goalkeeper? Or is it time for both sides to move on? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. Football is all about debate, and I'd love to hear where you stand. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications because we've got more football stories, transfer breakdowns, tactical analysis, and behind-the-scenes documentaries coming every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Soccer ball fire.